Alright, so this is London number 2 of the weekend, game 3. There's still one more London to go. And I was lost out of the opening in this game because the Jobava London to be specific, is that good. I ran into the one person on Earth who knows every fucking ounce of Jobava London theory there is, which is like, you play these things so you don't have to learn theory, but I played the one person who knew it all. So, it was rough. Yeah. So I was mixing up lines with my Jobava London prep for back when I was playing like King's Indian setups, and now I'm playing D5, and I mixed it up in my head. So I was playing 2 systems, and then I got killed. I still won. It was a goddamn miracle, though. Anyway, my opponent was like close to 1800, I think, but she was gaining points like 100 in the last year or something, is what I was told. I didn't actually look. Okay, so d4, d5, knight c3, and what I've been doing in Bullet and in Blitz, especially in my alts, this is 100% success rate online, is on this move, I pre-move g5, and it works 100% of the time, because they either play bishop f4 and they're down a piece, or they're not pre-moving and they take here and they don't know how to deal with the open G file and they lose. So 100% of the time it works. So start doing this in Bullet against the Jobava London until they catch on to it. Anyway, yeah, it reminds me of like knight h6 g5 stuff. But I did not do that in this game because I didn't think it would work. So I played knight f6, which is a good move. Bishop f4, e6. So this is actually not... It's a good move, but it's not... I'm already out of theory at this point. I'm already completely blind. All I know is, like, I don't know, I think you do this and that. And that's all I really know. And then you castle. So that's what I knew. And then this happened, and I was like, okay, I think I remember this shit at some point where... like, you play c6 and they go back and you play knight b8. But that's in a different line. It's different. Very different line I was thinking of. So this is not very good already. c5 immediately is good. Good move. That's what I played in my next London game. Because, of course, there was another one. So this is like, I mean, it's not terrible. But I'm just, you know... Apparently bishop d6 is inaccurate. Like, I don't understand why. What is so horrible about this? You're supposed to take? Okay, in dark square holes? Sure, I agree. My opponent played bishop d3, and I did not see the danger coming. I did not. This has never happened to me before, but I just castled because that's like a thing you do in chess, and it's usually the best move on the board when it's legal. Except for when it's not. I think taking is good, but I also have been getting so many stonewalls lately that I didn't want to be forced to play a stonewall, and that's what this reminded me of, except it's better, because obviously I haven't played f5. But having a pawn on f4 just controls e5 better, so I don't understand why I would do this. So, I don't know about all that. But, castling is a good move. Okay, so they put the knight on e5. I don't know how to deal with this. I kind of do now, but I did not at the time. And I was like, whatever. The problem is, I want to do my little setup where I play queen c7, knight d7, c5. Or, you know, if a trade happens, like I could play for e5. But in all the lines where this is happening, like, I'm worried about that shit. And obviously I can't play knight d7 right away because knight takes f7, which I actually saw happen in a game this weekend on the bottom board of the Fide tournament. And then black actually was winning at that point though, because it was it was a different position. I feel like, I don't know. It was different, but it wasn't as bad in that position. Anyway, so that's why we have to play queen c7 to prepare knight d7. But if I play queen c7, I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know. This is... I don't know. I should probably do that. But anyway, I was like, I don't know what's happening. London, she's just gonna castle, and then I can do this. So I played a6. And black is lost. Not lost, apparently, but it's very bad already. It's very hard, because now g4 is the best move, and that is what my opponent played. And when I tell you that I heart skipped a beat, I am not exaggerating. It's not fun to have a lower rated player throw their g-pawn at you, especially when it's a good move. Why did you play bishop d6 if you don't want to take the bishop? Because it develops a piece. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know. Maybe it was a bad move. I have no idea. 1800. So this is like the hardest position in the world, because in order to not be losing, you have to play really disgusting looking moves. So I don't know if you want to try and find a move that doesn't lose. I didn't find one. So the problem is g5 and then queen h5, and there are already three guys on g6, so if I play g6, at least a draw. I will at least be giving my opponent a draw, which is not the desired result. Knight e8 is a bad move because of g5, and then it's the same thing, like, I don't know. You were gonna have to move that anyway. I don't know how you get these pieces. They look the same as the default to me. Yeah, I did say lower. Yeah, not low. Lower than me. Bishop b4, knight e4. I think bishop b4 is definitely one of the tries, followed by knight e4. I do think that's one of the ways to go. But it's still just a terrible position. Like, it's better than what I got, but it's awful. I mean, it's awful. I had the right thought, I just executed it incorrectly. So the biggest pain in the ass in this position is definitely the knight on e5, and I wanted it to go away. And the way I would do that is by doing my plan. Just let me do it. Just let me do it. All I want is to put my queen on c7 and my knight on d7, and you won't let me, and it's making me upset. So I played queen c7, and I had looked at this line, okay, with g5, knight d7, queen h5, f5, takes, and I was like, I'm probably losing there, and that was the extent of my thought, but I thought I was losing regardless, which I kind of am. So that's what I went for. Black is lost. But the thing is, my opponent thought... Hold on. Let me get the exact... Oh, it's right here. So at this point, I had already accepted the fact that I lost. I had like that hot wash of shame just all over me, and I put my head down because I had just like, was like, okay, this is over. I'm losing to another 1800. But then a miracle happened. So my opponent thought for 30 minutes here, which is weird because queen h5 is the most obvious move to ever be played ever. But in those 30 minutes, I had a lot of time to think and reflect on my life and my choices. And those 30 minutes were enough for me to like stop being upset. It's funny, but I kind of like went through the grieving process, and I was like, okay, and my mood started to improve. And then I started to get angry, and I was like hyping myself up, and I was, you know, gotta go to the bathroom and like punch yourself in the face. Do like monkey movements. So it's a really, really good sign that my opponent is thinking 30 minutes here, and here are the reasons why. So number one, nervous. You're clearly very nervous if you're taking 30 minutes to play queen h5, because black is just lost. Two, you're exhausting yourself. So if you don't find the exact right continuation and you give me a little counterplay, mistakes will be made a lot more easily if you're tired. And number three, you're low on time, so it makes the other two even worse. Yeah, so yeah, I went through all the stages of Greek. I was like, oh, it's not that bad. I play knight d7 and f5. Then I got anger, and then I was like, oh, maybe it'll be okay. And then I put my head down, and yeah, I went through all of that in 30 minutes. So my opponent played queen h5, and f5 is the only move, because if g6, like, just take it. And the problem is e6 is hanging, so it's like, this happens, and then you take on d6. So that's the problem. She's not going to take a draw there. So that's why you can't play g6. If that's not the case, then maybe, like, this happens and it's a draw, but no. So I play f5, I think instantly, yeah. And then my opponent thinks for another 10 minutes, plays g6, and offers a draw. And, listen, so, I am not an engine. I still thought I was losing after g6. I thought it was very weird to play g6 and lock the position when you're attacking. And I had already looked at g6, h6, bishop h6, and everything that goes with that in the 30 minutes I had to reflect on my life. G takes f is, I mean, you just have an open G file, and like, I'm dead. I'm just dead. So, okay, first of all, this position is now equal. It went from plus 5 to equal with g6, but I didn't know that. I thought I was still lost, and my opponent offered me a draw, and not for a second did I actually consider accepting that draw. If my opponent hadn't thought for 30 minutes on queen h5, and if my opponent hadn't offered me a draw, I would have been playing for a draw. But because this is like such, this is offering a draw here is showing weakness, and also playing g6 is showing that you don't really know how to attack. Or I don't know, I think she does. It's just stress playing a high-rated player, I guess. But so h6, we lock up the position and we are happy. But there is still a lot of work to be done here, because white is still, like, I say equal, but it's like white is a little tiny bit, not tiny bit, white is a little better. So bishop h6 I had seen, and I have to be accurate here. So the idea is that is not to take back after g takes f6. I mean, g takes h6. What's happening? Okay, so the point of bishop takes h6 is not g takes h6, queen takes h6. It's actually to play g7. So if I can blockade this pawn, there won't be any open files for my king, so I'll be a little bit safer. So if I take this, which I did not, g7, and white is completely winning again. And I understood this. But thankfully I have the intermezzo of knight f6. And now you have to move your queen backwards. And after I take, now I can play queen g7 if queen h6. Also, I have other ways to block the file towards my king. So, yeah, if queen h6, I play queen g7, and you either trade queens, or I'm safe. I'm hiding behind your pawn. He's my little shield. But at this point, I was feeling a little better. I still thought I was losing. I was not, but I thought I was. So my opponent plays g7, which was the idea. But here it's not quite as good. I can take with the king or the queen here, actually. It was more of, I couldn't really decide between the two. It was just pure intuition on which move I chose. My move is slightly inferior. King takes g7 is better. But I was basically saying I want to sacrifice a piece back and just be not dead. I actually played, it says inaccurate. It's not a bad move. I don't know why it's saying that. Stupid computer. It's like equal here. So from here on out, I played pretty much perfectly except for one move. But again, you can't really account for all these psychological pressures I was under during this game. So castle's queenside, followed by knight g4. And I have ideas brewing here. So I have, like, again, I still think I'm lost in my head. So I'm playing in that mindset. So right now, if you do nothing, I might just take here and take here, play rook f7, rook g7, and be fine. Also, I might want to play bishop e7, and if you have to play queen g3, then I can take on e5, and you're forced to trade the queens, which is what I was hoping for. At this point, I thought that my only chance to not be lost was if my opponent played h3, because h3 takes away the h3 square for the queen after bishop e7, and it allows me to trade the queens and be comfortable. So I was sitting there, and I was just repeating in my head, please play h3, please play h3, please play h3. And my opponent played h3, which is a blunder. Now, I was actually fine before, but now I'm just winning. But it's very hard to, accept the fact that you could be winning here. It never crossed my mind that I could be winning. My move, I am only +2. Or, no, I'm plus nothing. This is like an equalizing move, yeah. But that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to equalize. So I can just take on e5 here, which I didn't really consider. Because it's like, I don't know, this is hard to clog up this file, and I think I have to give up a piece again anyway. So I didn't see much of a difference. But you actually take with the queen here, and then, I don't know, a rook goes somewhere. And I think you can go to h7 or f7. For some reason I think h7 is better, but I don't know why. I don't want to let the queen in, I guess. And it's not, okay, I'm up a piece. But other than that, it's not obvious to me that I'm not getting attacked. Other than the fact that these two pieces are pretty shut out, and you can't really attack with a rook and a queen. So my pieces are shut out, but so are yours. So it kind of evens out, and I'll have enough time to defend while you spend time trying to prepare an attack that's not going to work. So apparently black is winning here. I was just like gonna be ecstatic to draw this game. So, or no, I wouldn't, because I declined to draw. I would be ecstatic to have an equal position, basically. So I played bishop e7, which was my whole point, is that if you play queen g3 now, I get to trade the queens. Woo! So I was expecting queen h5, but queen h5 is what my opponent played. So queen g3, knight takes e5, and I'm just up a piece. I can take here with check, I can play here, and just move this, go here. So my opponent played queen h5. And this was my other point, is I had seen this tactic from afar. So black to play, this was the other reason I wanted h3 to happen, because if f3 had happened, this wouldn't have been possible. So go ahead and figure it out, chief. I would have shat my pants 5 times already at this point. I never said I didn't. Knight e3 is hanging a piece, so incorrect. Queen g5. Queen g5, h takes g, maybe? Yeah, probably h takes g. So if we go back to f6, then we still have the problems with our queen. It doesn't really solve the problems. So think of all the tactical motifs that you can, and then put them all together. Throw it at the board, and then you'll find it. Yeah, what if it's knight f2? Because knight f2 is a fork. So typically with forks, though, if you could move one of your pieces and make a threat, then you're fine. But here it's not the case. And this was my other idea attached to bishop e7. So, now we can see that I am a genius, and this is why bishop e7 is actually better than knight takes e5. Because after knight takes f2, whatever rook is coming here, it doesn't matter. What's important is that there's going to be a rook on this g1 square. And it happened to be the h rook. And after bishop g5, I block with the bishop. And it's like, but it's pinned, right? But if you move the pawn, wait. Well, yeah, moving the pawn is just stupid because of knight takes d3 check. But, it's the same idea, yeah. So my opponent moved the rook out of the way, which fails to knight takes d3 check, getting the knight out of the way on this diagonal. And if you take back, I take here, and then I take on g1. And you are down too many pieces. So this was the idea attached to bishop e7. And I was like, it only works if h3. So if this, it's the same thing. I play knight takes d3, and even if you take with the rook, you're guarding this, but there's nothing guarding this guy, so you do this. So that was my little miracle. And only here did I think I was maybe equalizing, but I was actually winning. So rook d to f1. Well, because if f3, well, I guess I can still play knight takes e5, but f3 bishop e7, there's this? No, there's not. Wait, what? No, I guess it wasn't. It only... The reason I wanted h3, not f3, was just to trade... I just wanted to trade queens, okay? It's such a blur, because this game was so ridiculous. Maybe that was just a nonsense thought. Maybe that just didn't exist. I think that's the most likely thing, is that was just absolute nonsense that came out of my mouth, and that we should ignore it. But anyway, rook h to g1, bishop g5. And now I have knight takes d3, and as we saw, this is bad. So king b1 I think is a good try. But now I finally get rid of this horrible, horrible knight on e5. And I'm able to breathe now. Because currently, I'm actually up 3 pieces. And a pawn. So if I can just resist these rooks a little longer, I'm good to go. So from my point of view, only now is it okay. I didn't know I was doing fine up until here. I thought it was a miracle. But I was actually okay the whole time. And so, more psychological... horrible blunders. So for this next move, for my next trick, I'm going to make it go from -7 to +7 in one move. So I did all of that. I weaved that little fucked up net. Yes, so I played queen f7, go bouncing across. And after I played it, I was like, oh my god, she can take on h6. I just couldn't believe it, because if I had been blunder checking, if I had just looked at the forward move, I would not have played that, because I would have seen queen h6. And, I was just devastated, and I felt like crying. And I started to go through the process, and I was, like, kind of, like, zoned out, and I kind of, like, just, like, sat back in my chair and started looking somewhere else. And then my opponent retreated a piece! Not that, though. This. Didn't she play? Oh, did she play queen f3? Anyway, my opponent retreated a piece, and then I was like, there is a god, and he loves me. So anyway, that's why luck is very important in chess, because you can like play 100 games and play them like really well almost all the way through and make one blunder and lose, which is like how I normally lose. And then this happens where you just play like an absolute idiot the whole time and still win somehow. And it just really made me feel like nothing matters, because my second round game, I played really well and I lost. And then there's this. There's this. How does this make sense? How is that fair? It feels completely random whether I win or lose. Anyway, now I'm just scared. I'm like, oh god, I have to defend my pawn. Queen g6 is kind of a nonsense move, but I was like, I don't know, just defend. I don't know, and I'm just freaking the hell out. Okay, so h4. But now it's gonna be okay, because I just get out of all this. I'm running. into the safety of my Stonewall pawns. Did you stand up after the blunder or stay there? I just froze. I just, like, didn't really move. I mean, I kind of looked away because I was like, you know, I came back and then I still lose. It's ridiculous. But then she was like, because she was completely winning, and now she's not, all of a sudden, after that big combination she fell for, she's not feeling as confident, so she retreats a piece. It's purely psychological. Okay. Anyway, so she takes a piece and then tries to break me open, but it's okay because I'm running. I'm all safe now. Everything's all better now. This would be really hard to fuck up at this point because I'm up a lot of things. So then this happened, which I didn't really understand. I didn't really get it. I just developed a piece, and, like, that's not even mate, so I didn't really get that either. And this could happen, but even if you win my queen at this point, like, you might still lose. Thankfully, King of 7 saves everything. There are no tricks anymore. There's no pins. There's just everything's okay. So now I've developed my pieces, and everything's okay. And now I'm gonna checkmate you. So bring the rook in, and then resigns. White resigns. So anyway, a perfect chess game. Let's look at the graph. White had 3 inaccuracies, 5 blunders, and an 86 average cent-upon loss with a 52% accuracy. But Black only had 6 inaccuracies, 2 blunders, and a 68% cent-upon loss, and 61% accuracy. So therefore, I won. So, a perfect game. It was just a coincidence. Woman section. This was a woman moment, this whole game.